I still remember that night so clearly, as if it were yesterday. Ethan was in his study, pacing back and forth, mumbling to himself. I could hear him rehearsing something, words that made my heart tighten in my chest. I pressed my ear to the door, wondering what he was planning, but I didn't dare interrupt. He sounded different. He sounded like a man preparing to reveal a life-altering truth, and my stomach twisted in anticipation. He was talking about our 25 years together, about mistakes and decisions, about honesty. His voice trembled ever so slightly, and I wondered if he even realized the weight of what he was about to do. I remembered how we had once laughed in that same house, celebrating our dreams and plans, imagining a future we would build together. And now, here we were, on the brink of something I could never have imagined. The next morning Ethan came into the bedroom, adjusting his tie in front of the mirror. "Clara," he said with a strange smile, "today is a great day." I nodded, forcing a polite smile. "Yes, our anniversary," I replied, though something about his tone made the words feel hollow. He didn't stop. "Not just that. Tomorrow your life is going to change, and so is mine." "Completely." I froze. Completely? I didn't know whether to feel fear or curiosity. I asked him carefully, my voice soft. "Ethan, can I ask you something?" He turned to me. "Sure, what is it?" I hesitated, choosing my words. "Did you ever really love me? Truly?" I could see him stiffen, his tie slipping slightly in his hand. "What a weird question," he muttered. "Why now, on such an important day?" But I needed to hear it. "Of course I loved you," he said without looking at me. "And I still love you in my own way." I felt a chill. His own way. That way people care for something old, useful, and finally worn out. I let the words hang there, quiet and bitter. "I understand," I whispered. All day, he was frantic. He called the restaurant repeatedly, checked the guest list, and gave endless orders. I watched him, noting every twitch, every sign of anxiety. And all the while, I held the secret I had been preparing. The condo papers, the inheritance documents, the bank statements, all ready. Tomorrow everything would change. I dressed carefully that evening in a dark blue gown I had chosen for this night. I caught my reflection in the mirror and tried to breathe calmly. This wasn't just an anniversary. This was the night I would claim my life back. I held my purse close, feeling the weight of the documents, feeling the thrill of knowing the truth was finally in my hands. The drive to the hotel was silent. Ethan drummed his fingers nervously on the steering wheel, while I watched the city lights pass by. 25 years ago, that drive would have been filled with laughter and anticipation. Now it was the quiet before a storm. I could feel the tension tighten around me like a cord. I thought about the years, the sacrifices, the patience, and the quiet endurance of a woman who had given so much and received so little. When we arrived at the hotel, Ethan turned to me. "No matter what happens today, I want you to know I wish you the best," he said. I forced a polite smile. The best? A cruel, bitter joke. His mother, Clara's mother-in-law, was radiant, a queen surveying her kingdom. I knew she had been part of every plan to humiliate me, to make me surrender my rights, and to give him the upper hand. But I had my own power, my own weapons, my own truth. I walked into the ballroom, my step steady despite the storm brewing inside me. Guests greeted me warmly, unaware of the drama about to unfold. I could see the young woman he had introduced as his new assistant. Her presence was deliberate, a distraction, a temptation meant to weaken me. But I didn't flinch. I had seen the truth for weeks, and now it was time for everyone else to see it. As the host called for attention, Ethan stood to speak. I watched him from my seat, his confident smile hiding the chaos that was about to erupt. He began praising our marriage, reminiscing about our life together, and then came the words that cut like a knife. He called me boring, gray, unfit, and declared that our marriage had been a mistake. He announced that he wanted a divorce, publicly, in front of all our friends, colleagues, and family. I felt the room tilt, the gasps and murmurs of shocked guests washing over me. I looked around and saw his mother's satisfied smile, the young assistant's barely concealed triumph. And I felt something awaken inside me, a fierce, calm determination. I would not be humiliated. I would not be played. And that was when I rose. I took the microphone from him, my voice steady, my words deliberate. "Thank you, Ethan," I said softly. "You are honest, I see that. But you underestimated me. You underestimated the life I have built, the independence I have earned, and the truth I carry in my hands." I revealed the documents, the inheritance, the bank statements, the condo deeds, everything he had planned to take from me. I watched as the color drained from his face, as his carefully orchestrated plan crumbled before him. The room was silent, shocked, in awe, and suddenly the power was mine. I walked out that night into the cool air, feeling a freedom I hadn't known in decades. The chaos remained behind me, the whispers, the outrage, the fallen mask of a man who thought he could control me. And for the first time in years, I breathed. Truly breathed. The weight of 25 years lifted, and I felt the rush of life and independence. This was only the beginning. The moment Ethan announced our divorce, the room froze. I could see the shock ripple through the guests, the confusion, the betrayal written on their faces. Some gasped, others whispered, and a few even laughed nervously, unsure of what to do. But I didn't flinch. I walked slowly toward him, my heels clicking against the polished floor. I held the microphone, feeling the power of the truth in my hands. "Ethan," I said, my voice calm but firm, "thank you for your honesty. But you forgot one thing, you forgot that I have been preparing for this day." I opened my purse and pulled out the folder. The documents felt heavy, real, undeniable. The condo papers, the inheritance papers from my aunt in Germany, the bank statements showing over $1 million in my account, all of it. The room went completely silent. Ethan's eyes widened. His lips parted, but no words came out. I could see the color drain from his face as the guests stared in disbelief. "You see," I continued, "the condo you think you can claim is mine. It was a gift from my parents before our marriage. The inheritance I received 3 weeks ago makes your plan completely irrelevant. Everything else you imagine taking from me belongs to me legally and rightfully." I watched his mother, Margaret, step back, her triumphant smile fading. The young assistant, Sophia, turned ghostly white, unable to hide her shock. Even the lawyer, Mr. Hayes, who had been lurking in the corner, looked panicked and tried to slip away unnoticed. But everyone saw everything. I held their gazes, steady, unafraid. "And now," I said, my voice soft but sharp, "the part I've been waiting for. Do you know how much money you spent to publicly humiliate me tonight? $45,000 of our joint savings on a grand show, a party, and gifts, all wasted. That's the cost of your arrogance." Ethan's mouth opened and closed, trying to speak, but I continued. "You are free to live your life with your new woman, Sophia. But you will not touch my property, my assets, or my future. And your debts? Every single one of them is yours alone. The loans you took, the collateral you risked, they are on your shoulders." I placed the microphone gently on the table and turned toward the exit. Behind me, the ballroom erupted. Guests whispered furiously, some pointing, some shaking their heads. Sophia tried to leave quietly, but a group of guests blocked her path. "Where is my condo? Where is my money?" she shouted, frantic. I didn't answer. She realized too late that the life she had imagined with Ethan was gone, evaporated in the truth of my hands. Ethan was frozen, his carefully orchestrated plan crumbling completely. He stumbled over his words, trying to defend himself, but the room was already against him. Margaret clutched her face, realizing that her support could not save him. "Damn it," he muttered, looking at me, "you twisted everything." I smiled calmly, not bitterly, just with the quiet satisfaction of knowing that I had reclaimed my life. "No, Ethan," I said, "I didn't twist anything. I just waited until the truth was undeniable. You underestimated me, and that was your mistake." As I walked out into the cool night air, I felt a rush of freedom unlike anything I had ever experienced. The chaos remained behind me, the shocked faces, the angry whispers, the ruined plans, but I was untouchable. I had my property, my inheritance, and my dignity. For the first time in decades, I felt alive. I hailed a taxi and watched the city lights blur past, each one reflecting the sense of possibility ahead. The documents in my purse were more than papers, they were a testament to my patience, my resilience, and my courage. I could finally see the life I had always dreamed of, waiting for me just beyond the darkness of betrayal and manipulation. That night I didn't just leave a ballroom. I left 25 years of fear, compromise, and silent endurance behind me. And as the taxi drove me toward my new condo in Miami Beach, I realized something incredible. I had never felt more powerful, more free, more myself. 3 months later, I sat in the courtroom watching Ethan unravel before my eyes. The man I had married 25 years ago looked 10 years older. His expensive suits replaced by a cheap one, his once confident face now lined with stress, gray hair creeping in at the temples. I felt no joy in his misery, only a quiet, steady sense of justice. The judge, a wise elderly woman, reviewed the documents carefully. I held my breath as she declared that the condo in Georgetown was mine, entirely separate premarital property. My inheritance, my cash, my freedom, it was all secure. The cabin and his car, he kept half. No alimony. No strings. The gavel strike of the gavel felt like the closing of a heavy chapter in my life. Ethan ran after me as I left the courthouse. "Clara!" "Wait," he shouted. I stopped, turning slowly to face him. He held a folder in his hands, desperate. I was selfish. I was foolish. "I didn't deserve you," he said, his voice low, almost pleading. I looked at him and felt a strange calm. "Clara," I corrected myself silently in my mind, "you've lost your chance to control me, Ethan. We are nothing alike. You wanted an easy life at others' expense. I fought for what is mine, and I will continue to do so." Could we be friends?" he asked quietly. I shook my head. "No. Our paths are different. You live in your illusion. I live in reality. Goodbye, Ethan." I stepped into my new Audi, the city lights reflecting off its polished surface, and I felt a weight lift I hadn't known I carried. I was free, financially independent, and finally doing what I loved. I had inherited more than money, I had inherited myself. Life moved forward quickly. Ethan struggled to find work. His viral anniversary scandal haunted him. His boss no longer wanted to deal with someone who had humiliated himself in public. His once glamorous life crumbled. The young assistant, Sophia, married a wealthy entrepreneur soon after, leaving Ethan to face the consequences alone. Margaret had to downsize her home to pay the debts. And me? I flourished. My Miami Beach condo, light-filled and serene, became my sanctuary. I opened a small publishing house dedicated to translating European literature. I worked with talented young translators, building a life I had always dreamed of. I wasn't seeking revenge. I was building joy, independence, and passion. One evening, my friend Aisha visited. She looked around my cozy, book-filled home. "Do you feel avenged?" she asked. I smiled, sipping my tea on the balcony. The city lights of Miami shimmered below us. "No, Aisha. I feel relief. I fought for my rights. The truth always wins, even if it takes time." That's all I needed. A year later, a letter arrived from Ethan. I read it quietly. "Clara, I don't expect forgiveness. I was foolish and greedy. You deserved the best, and I lost you. Be happy." I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. No anger. No sadness. Just a memory of a life that was once mine but no longer defined me. That night, I stepped onto the terrace with a cup of coffee. Miami sparkled below, the air warm and fragrant with summer blooms. I felt truly, completely free. The past was gone. The betrayal, the lies, the games, it all belonged behind me. My publishing house thrived, my heart was light, and my future was mine to shape. And in that moment, I realized something invaluable. Life doesn't reward waiting, it rewards courage. It rewards the women who defend themselves, who speak the truth, who take back what is theirs. And I had done just that. Yes, my life changed forever that night. And for the first time in decades, I was not just surviving,